Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Scousers post-match show. After a win, we were hoping for this one. We got it. How painful was it for you, Kazi?
I was okay. I was okay. Let's just say I was not okay when Darwin missed the biggest sitter in the world. I was more, oh, it's going to be one of those days. But then he scores one of the hardest chances you could ever score. So I don't know where I'm at with him, to be honest. But yeah, man, I'm in a good mood. Fantastic win, to be honest.
Yeah, that was like those what 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes is Nunez in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It's just like 1 second you're like, dude, how the heck? And then you're like, how the heck? And again, so it's it's kind of like odd to see that. Let's bring Trevor on as well before his phone overheats. The weekly sauna session for his phone, basically. Trevor,
Yeah,
how painful
poor
was
thing.
you? I just asked Kazi, how did that game go for you?
Yeah, it was something where we kind of hit all the notes that we were expecting. There was moments of holding your head in your hands, and then just the exact opposite. And like as I put in many chats, that was the Darwin Nunez experience.
Yes.
That was for every oh my god. There's the oh my god. It's just about tone.
Yeah, it's there's a couple of performances I want to ask you guys about. First off, okay, let's start with this. I can already tell tomorrow night's podcast on Monday night with Gally. I don't think Bickler's with us, so this is good because at least I'm not going to be a 2-1. The back line, I thought overall, Kazi, they did excellent. I will put a little asterisk next to Robertson. I think right now he is the issue with that back line, and all the causes of all problems start with him. As a center back, you never want to look over your shoulder and see your back, your left or right back, like 10 yards behind you. And it keeps happening over and over again. He tracks runs. It almost feels like does not trust the line.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting with Robertson because this is not really a one-off anymore. Yeah. It feels like this is a bit of a sustained towards the end of last season and starting this season. But it also always comes back down to when you have no quality backup. As much as Kostas is a football player with a left foot, he's not a quality backup to Andy Robertson. And I think we'd all agree we'll take this Andy Robertson over the top-class Kostas Tsimikas. But yes, kind of struggled and toiled a little bit. Do feel sorry for him because, again, he is having really quality wingers against him right now in terms of Jared Bowen, who is quality and stuff like that. He played quite well in the game. But yeah, he did kind of struggle. But on the other side, Joe Gomez, again, excellent. Yeah. I thought really good. Listen, he's not Trent Alexander-Arnold. I put it in our Discord chat saying if Trent was on the pitch with the positions that Joe Gomez is getting in, it's probably going to be game over by halftime. But unfortunately, he's not at the quality, mate. But he's doing a really stand-up job in there, and I think he's proven a lot of fans wrong. His fitness is maintained. He looked really good towards the end as well, running up and down still when we are worried about fitness and lack of game time. So excellent. So I think we'll focus on the positive for right now, but I'm sure you'll get into your Robertson chat on the post-match and stuff.
Oh, Robertson chat, because I was more like Van Dijk was getting so much hate, and I was like, dude, I mean, as a center back, there's nothing you can do when your back is constantly messing up the line and you have to track back. I mean, that goal happens because as a defender, the panic is always like when things are out of whack. And maybe you can argue that Van Dijk maybe 3 years ago doesn't lose control as much and a bit more confidence. Defenders run back towards the goal. That's kind of your instinct because that's what you're trying to protect. And any defender that kind of pulls back a little bit will have the advantage. Before I forget, I will be plugging this throughout, but there's only a week left, less than a week left. So if you are following us on Facebook right now, for example, make sure to hit the YouTube side of things, subscribe and get your name entered in. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, we send it anywhere. Trevor, same thing to you. I know before the game, some of the comments in the chat when we were doing the pre-match were about the concern about Matip versus Antonio as opposed to the beefy Konate versus Antonio. But I would argue Matip was probably one of our best players today on the pitch.
Yeah, and as y'all just hit, Robertson was a weak link. on that. He kept everybody onside for every single one of their goal opportunities. Matip, you could tell by like the hour mark that he was gassed, but then at some point he kind of like shifted down a gear and realized that he had to like stay back and he couldn't go on his little sojourns anymore. And he was doing okay with it. And that's kind of what that self-awareness that I think some of the people didn't think that Matip had. Like he's always like, oh, I'm starting, so I'm just going to do everything that I do every time. Now I think he's reached that point where, okay, I got about half an hour of fun, and then I got about 45 minutes of hunkering down because I just don't have the legs for it anymore. But yeah, in terms of everything that he did today, I have no qualms about saying that Joel Matip had himself a fine afternoon.
I feel like, by the way, there was a point in the second half when he went on one of his long runs. I think he lost the ball to Paqueta quite easily. And I feel like I want to see Virgil van Dijk's face when he's trotting back, like a child, when his dad's standing outside the front door waiting for him to come home. Like, really?
Where have you been?
2-1 up.
Don't you know that it's 9 p.m.?
I know. Where have you been?
Your mom has been worried about you.
I know.
Yeah, Matip looks like me playing in the over 35 league. In the beginning, you get excited, do a lot of runs and stuff, and afterwards you're like, yeah, I'm gonna stay back, guys. Let the younger ones run around. Let's bring Adam on because Adam is always.
Hello.
What's going on, Adam?
Hello.
Were you at the game?
I was, yes, I was.
Of course you were, you lucky bastard. So what did you see?
We are live from Anfield. Live from Anfield.
This is my cousin James.
This
Yeah,
is
say
live from the, hello, boys. This is live from the Grove pub in Anfield.
How we doing, fellas?
What do you say for that game, man? How was it? I mean, obviously you have a different perspective in the stadium. Does the stadium get as nervous as I do?
Mate, probably more nervous. Probably more nervous. Like, coming up on the train and everyone's there and all these West Ham fans are there and he's like, it's bad. I was more nervous than I think you were because I've got to get the train back with them.
Yeah, he lives in London.
Yeah, so I was probably more nervous than you were, my mate.
So you're going to see a lot of sad faces when you get back there.
Yeah, he's looking forward to that.
So, Adam, what do you make of the performance overall? Let's get your take first. What do you make of the performance overall?
Say that again, sorry.
What did you make of the performance overall for the game?
I think it was just a bit of a weird first 20 minutes anyway, and we just kind of had to get ourselves through that. We get the goal, which is great, and then from then I wasn't really worried. I'm gonna confess I went for a pint just as Bowen, just like 2 seconds before Bowen gets the equaliser. And then it was Bowen, yeah. So and then I kind of thought, well, that could. then I'm thinking to myself, well, that gives them half time to readjust. They've got the equaliser. They can put everyone behind the ball. And much as I don't like him, Moyes is kind of quite good at that sort of thing in terms of organising a team. And then but obviously Nunes misses the chance, but then the second, I'm not seeing it back, but it looked like a brilliant finish.
But to be fair to Nunes, I also thought he made that chance for himself.
Yeah,
I thought it bounced off someone, and it was a very much instinctive shot. And don't get me wrong, obviously it goes wide. He's not a perfect player, but I thought he made that chance for himself. Was my opinion. Mm-hmm. Sorry to disagree with you, mate.
All good.
Adam, obviously your connection is kind of like not the best, but before we let you go, let me know what do you think of like that midfield mainly, because that's what we're going to talk about next. Is this the trio moving forward, or does eventually Gravenberch work herself in instead of Jones?
Yeah, I hope it's not. But I don't really want to see McAllister as a defensive midfielder. I think he's in a way too good for that, and I also just think it kind of takes away a lot of what he's about. So I think Szoboszlai is probably the best player that's ever played football. Like, is anyone disagreeing with that? Or
no,
we're all good.
Hungarian guy,
like, unbelievable. I want to see him and McAllister as the two number 8s. I'm okay with Gravenberch as maybe defensive midfielder if we've got Trent on the pitch, just kind of dipping in and out in the hybrid role like he has been doing. I'm not too worried. Look, it's been a weird couple of days. We only played 3 days ago, and obviously both of them came on Thursday, didn't they? So, I think it's fine, but I don't want to see McAllister as a defensive midfielder. I don't think that's what he's about.
I think that's fair. Hey, thanks a lot, Adam. You lucky bum being at the game live from Anfield. Appreciate it, bud.
Up the Reds. Up the Reds.
Later, boys.
Oh, man, that dude is so lucky to be there at the game. Cersei is with us. What's going on? He's asking where the hell Antonio is. He's doing an interview with a podcast. Talking about his best pal, Mo, that he should have taken the deals. Z, what do you make of that midfield?
It worked. McAllister, yeah, he's not a DM for me, and I know he's sacrificing for a team, and but other than that, I mean, Curtis Jones, he didn't really put a foot wrong. He was, he played really well today. Szoboszlai just keeps getting better and better. I think we've definitely unearthed Gerrard's new replacement for Gerrard there for sure. Just McAllister is just a little bit suspect with the DM, but once he goes up front or once he's playing more further upfield, we get the better of him.
Yeah.
What do you think, Trevor? I mean, I think like Jones does a lot of the dirty work, and he does not get the. I mean, Michael Lee was saying that this was the first good game for McAllister. I feel that's harsh, and I honestly don't think he was. He's been better, I guess. Let's put it that way. I think he's had a few more games. I felt he was better. What do you make of that midfield with Mac at 6? Obviously, it's not his ideal position, but to me, it kind of works.
Yeah, this is the combo of 3 that I think that we got to run with, barring injuries going forward. And now that I've got somebody blocking me in my parking spot, I'm going to be brief with my statement. Yeah, barring McAllister in that role, probably not going to work. But the way Curtis holds the ball, and now that we have healthy center backs behind him that can kind of give him that support, I think that may be something that he can do, and they kind of just swirl through like a whirlpool. Everybody kind of gets to take a little bit of that responsibility, and it's not entirely on McAllister or Szoboszlai or Jones to really just be that rock as a CDM. Yep. Okay. All right. Now I'm getting. All right.
I'll
hop into the chat and I'll give more dumb one-liners as some idiot is like knocking on my window. Yeah, I love the midfield. Szoboszlai for president.
There's gonna be some road rage happening over there in a second. Sounds like. But what do you make of it for that midfield? I mean, Brian Shelton says the midfield and the front 3 are set. I just feel like there's so many moving parts. I have a feeling it will never be set. What do you think?
Yeah, agreed. I don't think it ever will be because the manager has options for the first time in 7 years. Real options, not Oxlade-Chamberlain types of options. Real options.
Hey man, let's stop this talk state, okay? I mean,
can't be relied on. Yeah. But no, man, listen. Yeah, I thought McAllister was poor first half. To be honest, I thought he was a bit of a momentum killer the way he was, losing the ball. But I also thought for that. So West Ham have a lively 10 minutes. The first 10 they're quite lively. Let's say they're winning the ball quite nice, and McAllister isn't really in it. There's a moment on about the 12th minute where Szoboszlai just stands alongside him. I spoke about this in the pre-match, and it kind of just stopped their momentum a little bit because McAllister isn't covering so much. If you watch the highlights back, you will notice it now. And I think what that midfield allows us to do with those 2, at least, I think Jones is far and away our most important midfielder right now. I know Szoboszlai is amazing, I get it. Jones does not lose the football. And it's very important when you play
that's fair. Yeah.
Not to lose the football. So what them 2 allow us to do as again, you be more flexible, more fluid. But the manager has more options. If you're having an off game, Gravenberch is there. He brings Endo on. I thought Endo's little 10-minute cameo was quite good, actually, for his little 10 minutes that he actually came on for. Yeah. So, again, it's just all positives, mate. I don't want to really focus too much on the negatives right now because I do want to get onto Mo Salah in a moment. And about him, I know...
You can talk negative about Mo Salah? What do you... Saving the negative for Mo.
I know Adam said he might be the greatest... Szoboszlai might be the greatest footballer, but I think Mo Salah might be second. Behind support
Close
line.
second, yeah.
Just
Mo was, I mean, I thought overall, that's why the
unbelievable.
1-1 was odd because you could not really pinpoint like anything that was like glaring as an issue, like that was causing us not to click. What do you make of that midfield before we move on to the front line? And we'll bring Anan over here on in a little bit so he can talk about Nunez and, and drool and stuff. But what do you make of that midfield overall? I do agree that Jones, I mean, that last, I think, what was it, like 15 minutes ago, right before he came off, he had like a brain fart where we were controlling the ball, where it would be just like he fell asleep himself on the ball kind of thing. But aside from that, yeah, he's very solid with the ball. And I feel like some of the things that McAllister ran into today is because it's Gomez next to him instead of Trent. And I really felt bad for Gomez when he got the ball there because he felt it was like a fish out of water, man. He was like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. I don't like the system. Can I just play right back? Because he was excellent. But what do you make of the midfield? Oh, Z.
Oh, me?
Yeah, sir. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, the midfield, yeah, like I said, Jones, if we bought Jones this summer,
Yeah.
as a new player, we'll be going on and on about him.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point. Yeah.
He's, when he first entered the scene and scored against Everton, I thought we were onto something. Then he had that little period where he just wasn't performing. But I think because everyone else around him wasn't performing, he got sucked into that. And then he had the injuries, and then he has his social media issues with his girlfriend and stuff. And he's just like, I think that all of that, everyone was using that as a stick to beat him with. But like this summer, he's like a new player. And like I said, if we bought him this summer, we'll be going on and on about him. He doesn't lose the ball. He's just so efficient with the ball. He's like another Jimmy, for sure. I will put something controversial out there. I think our defense plays better without Virgil in it. I think they're more intense defensively when Virgil doesn't play. And when Virgil does play, it's like we rely on him too much, and we make little mistakes here and there out of complacency.
That could probably be I mean, I understand that point in terms of when Van Dijk is there, it's more of a, he'll clean up. Maybe it's out of habit that he'll clean up the mess kind of a thing. And so everybody pays a bit more focus. But I thought, when we were talking about like on the fan channel today, I thought this was one of his better games. That back line was very physical. And I thought like he's back to the old Van Dijk, which is what I like seeing, where when he goes up in the air, the balls he wins, he puts back into play. Like it was to Robertson, it was to Matip, it was back to Ali, as opposed to just clearing it kind of a thing. So I like that in terms of like what he does. Let's go to the front line, and we'll bring this guy on, president of the Nunez fan club. And I also want to ask you about Thiago's performance as well. He looked really good on the stands today. But yeah, Nunez. Within those 10 minutes, what are you saying when he first misses that one? Are you like, shit, I'm going to hear about this? And then he scores a worldie, and it's like, this is the guy I'm talking about.
He's warming up, and he's ready to go. That is what's Darwin going to do. He's going to miss, but then when needed, he's going to score. And listen, we're talking about the greatest Uruguayan ever. After Luis Suarez. Come on. Don't tell me no Forlan. Don't tell me nobody else. I mean, listen, Nunez this is a different player that we're seeing, guys. This is a completely different player. The instinct today to take that shot when McAllister played it last season, he would have tried to stop it and then played it low with his left or tried to do something Nunez-esque. This season, he said, I'm getting this goal because Anan is getting that jersey from Kazi and everything is good. So so he's sitting on 3 goals in the league. So is Salah. But if we look at all competitions, I think somebody might be in the lead because I count every assist as 2 goals. So Nunez is in the lead. Overall, guys, a good performance. I like Jones. I like what I'm seeing from Jones. I like what Sir Z said. If we had signed Jones this season, we would be like, wow, what a talented player. So
Yeah.
we don't want to be harsh on him just because he's our guy. But overall, really great performance. I'm going to pretend like Cersei didn't say we're better off with that Van Dijk just because he also said we haven't had a good striker since Fowler, and I'm never going to forget that. So I'm just going to I'm just going to let that go. But overall, I'm extremely happy. It is officially the first full 90 minutes of Premier League football I watched this season for Liverpool because of all my work and all the stuff that I've had going on. This is the first game that I was able to watch 90 minutes. So, and to get Nunez to score, woof, life is good, baby. Life is good.
Kazi, this front line right now, Brian Shelton said this is our strong lineup at the moment. The only concern is the back line. Gomez said a fantastic. Yeah, I think so too. And yeah, Chris has been saying this. So if this happens, I'm going to clip this within the next 3 years that Szoboszlai is going to. He sent a ball that I think, all saw that ball where Mo was open on the right-hand side, but you felt like it would go a bit too high and a bit too slow to get there. The way he kicked that ball, where that it just went low and it's like a perfect trajectory, I was like, God damn, this guy is good. And he's nonstop running. But talking about the front line, Kazi, is this, when we're playing a big game, is this the trio you're starting?
I don't think he starts Darwin next week against Spurs away. I think he does Gakpo. Genuinely. I think he will.
He's trying to win that bet, I think.
No, I think he will. I would start Darwin, but I think the manager would start Gakpo because I think it's going to be a bit more of a technical game kind of thing. I think it's going to be a bit more let's just say less wasteful when we get the ball, because I think Spurs are going to want to go and have 65% possession. I think that's fair to say. I think they have maybe more possession today, or it was very close kind of thing. So I do think that. Listen, talking about the front line, we have 5 footballers. I think Liverpool in all comps have scored 18 goals this year, and our front 5 have scored 15. So, and one of them's Harvey Elliott's goal against Wolves, which might be deflected. Robertson, I think Szoboszlai scored, of course. So the rest of all by our front 5. You look at Jota today. How important is that footballer for Liverpool, by the way?
Yeah.
Any man on 20 minutes just to come on and scores goals that I expect Alan Shearer, Robbie Fowler to score, those kind of players, just to tap in goals. He's just unbelievable. And the pass he nearly makes to Gakpo in the last minute, the outside of the big pass where Gakpo nearly gets, that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Speaking of Fowler, Z, listen, what do you make of that? Like, who is your ideal 3? Or do you change it based on game, and how do you decide who starts on that front 3? Because I know what Kazi is saying in terms of, against Spurs, because there are games where, like today, where you want Jota off the bench. And I think there are games, like maybe Newcastle, where you want Nunez off the bench. But how do you decide that, Z?
I think 90% of the games I'd have Salah, Nunez, and Diaz is my front 3. But against Spurs, like Kazi was saying, it's one of them games we have to keep them quiet, and we have to be quiet and bring Nunez on to create some chaos in the second half. But I think also a lot depends on the midweek game. I think Gakpo, Jota, Elliott, they will start against Leicester on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot will depend on that as well. But and Nunez, I think I'll maybe bench at the beginning and bring him on just for pure chaos against Spurs. I think we can run them ragged. I think we can tire them out and then bring Nunez on.
Yep.
The pure chaos is on Anand's face over here. Do you agree to that, Anand, as much of a fan club president you are for Nunez, that in some games he's better suited to come off and cause havoc afterwards?
Absolutely not.
Okay, next question.
This is the conversation we had in preseason. Nunez should be starting every game. And listen, not because I like him. No, but because I agree. Chaos. So why don't we just go out there and just go fucking chaotic from the start? Why are we waiting? Okay, now we're down. Let's go and put some chaos out. No, you start with your strongest 11, and Nunez is our strongest striker. He's our best striker. And honestly, right now he's firing in all cylinders. He's scoring. He's assisting. he's doing everything right. You don't bench him. You don't. This is a year. I see where Kazi's coming from because Kazi knows Jurgen very well. This is what's going on. He knows that Jurgen doesn't care how well you've been playing. Oh, it's a game against Spurs. Yeah, you scored 12 goals last 7 minutes, but you're on the bench now, and somebody else coming on because this is what's going to suit the 11 that I'm going out to play with, and that's what's going to suit the mentality we're going with. But right now, the mentality is monsters. Nunez is a monster. He needs to be playing every single minute. I love Gakpo. I love Jota, but the bench loves him too. Right now, it's Nunez time, and that's
Isn't
what
it
we're going to
easier
do.
to cause havoc though against a tired defense as opposed to the beginning of the game? I guess
Tire him
that's
out
really my
early.
point for causing. What was that?
Tired him out early. That's all you got to do.
I think
And
To be honest with you, I think with Nunez, it's not so much Nunez as much as if it's still 0-0, like if you started Nunez and it's still 0-0, it's going into the second half.
yeah.
I can't personally. I don't see Gakpo and Jota being able to come on and change the game.
I'll tell you this: you
It's
start
more-
Nunez,
It's
it
more.
won't be 0-0 at halftime.
Yeah, that's my only thing. It's not so much a slight on Nunez as much as it is on Gakpo and Jota.
But there's an argument here, though, right? And I get it. I get both ends. Jota's the only one off the bench where you go, he could definitely get a goal. He like over Gakpo, and I get that. But there's also a point where Darwin has to do better in certain moments. I love Darwin Núñez. I'm not arguing with that. But I'm saying, like, that miss could have been costly. It's a sitter. It's horrifically bad. Like, the pass from Mo, by the way, is a joke. That's a real striker, by the way. The pass is a joke. And it's like, yes, okay, of course he scores the harder chance and it's great and we're all over him, and I get that. But there's also a part where the manager go, I'd rather have Gakpo, because he finishes that. Like, that's the point. I think he can. I understand the argument, the inconsistencies of Darwin and what he can provide for you. But I think the manager, if you're the manager, you'd either go, I'd rather have my house on Gakpo as of right now, still, because I can trust him more. If Liverpool are going to go to Spurs and get 12 chances, if we are, we're going to be the best team in the world. So if we're going to go, I think if Liverpool are going to get 3 or 4 clear-cut chances, I think you'd rather have Gakpo.
Yeah, because I understand Z's point in terms of, I think if 60th minutes, the thing goes up and it's Gakpo coming in. I love Gakpo and his interplay and everything, but it's not the same as Nunez coming in. And I'm like, holy cow, now we're bringing it on kind of a thing. I think in terms of it being more impact, I agree with what Sir Z is saying there. I think he brings that off the bench. And if I am a defender, I am more worried seeing Nunez warming up on the sideline than I am with Gakpo. If we go to the left side on, do we maybe play something around there to get Nunez maybe on the left-hand side? Because it feels like we've kind of like, Mo's not going anywhere, right? Like the right side is already, that table is reserved over there. So nobody's sitting there. Do we kind of like shuffle maybe more on the left-hand side and not maybe wear down Diaz or expect Diaz to kind of play 90 all the time?
No, I like the idea of keeping Nunez center. I'd like him keeping him that number 9 role. That's it. He's accustomed to it. He's starting to play the Jurgen way in that number 9 role. So there's no reason why to switch him again and put him on the left and confuse the living hell out of that kid again. We're finally glad he's understanding what's going on now. Because he doesn't speak English. So Jurgen's like, okay, you're playing number 9, and all he says, yes, it's fine. And he just goes out there and then Jurgen's like, no, you're on the left. And he goes, no, there is no theft. And it's just horrible. So it's good that he's understanding he needs to be that number 9, stick to that role. Diaz has been wonderful this season. So there's no reason why we should change anything with him. But in the second half, like you guys are saying, we want to create some chaos. Cool, no problem. Put in Gakpo, take out Diaz, move Nunez to the left. We can work with all these options. But for me, Nunez starts at the 9, and you go from there. And listen, Spurs have looked good, but they got nothing on Nunez, man.
The point is, though, and I'll ask you the question. Do you think Diaz was good today?
No, I don't think Diaz was Diaz today.
Yeah, I thought he was poor.
Yeah, I don't think Diaz was Diaz today. I thought he was probably, and again, I don't like to isolate players, but I thought he was our weakest player up front in the link-up. He was our weakest option. But that's his first stinker in this whole season, right? So we'll take it. But I wouldn't punish him for it and swap him out and then move Nunez, who's been doing so well at the number 9 and move him to the left. Be like, okay, you didn't do so good last week, so now we're putting the striker in your position. We're moving another guy here. Why don't we think about this? 65th minute, it's 0-0. Nunes stays on, but we bring the greatest player to ever play, Thiago. I heard he's going to be fit by next week. So, I mean, there's
I
there's options.
Oh, best joke of the day. Good job.
There's options. Oh, man.
Before we go, I think we need to mention Mo Salah. This lad, every single week, is a joke. He wins the penalty, of course, scores the pen. He's the one who plays Darwin in the first half, and Darwin should go across the goal, really. He plays Darwin in again in the second half. I think he plays the Diaz pass where the keeper just gets a touch on it before Diaz. You're just looking at this now, and it's getting to the stage where if he doesn't want to leave Liverpool, I think Liverpool really needs to put him like 500k a week here. Just to like, this man is a joke. He's never injured. He's fit every week. He provides every single week. It's actually, we're starting to get, us as fans, I think, are starting to be complacent on of how good he is as a footballer. Because his level is so high. We talk about Darwin, we talk about Diaz, and that's fine. And Jota today again. Mo Salah, mate, is in levels above. Levels.
I feel like
I'm going to say something.
More space on the right-hand side. So I know, like, Serzi, you're a big Mo fan, but I mean, he has so much space on the right-hand side, and I think Szoboszlai is a huge help to him. And it feels like Chris was saying it earlier. You're seeing more and more of a better connection between him and Nunez. It almost like seems like he's starting to like playing with Nunez. I sense a lot of frustration last season with Nunez's runs or what he did with the ball and stuff like that. It almost feels like they are working better together now. Do you see that, or would you rather have a different pairing?
I think Salah seems like he's matured to the point where he doesn't, like, he had this competition going with Mane, who's going to score more goals. I think Salah's accepted being this, like, assisting as well as scoring. And because Salah, all the defenders that he takes with him creates that space for Nunez and Diaz on the other side. So he's sacrificing a lot for sacrificing his own personal goals in terms of being Golden Boot winner for the team. He's obviously still getting his goals in, but he's taking a lot where he's creating the chances for Nunez and Diaz. And even today, he didn't even look like he came out of second gear. Like, towards the end of the game, it was just like, it was just mesmerizing. Like, up until 60th minute, it was just like second gear, and he was just keeping West Ham defenders on him while everyone was free. And then he decided he's going to click, and bang, like, he was just running all over the place, making assists. We probably could have won 5-6-1 today.
Yeah, that was like the really odd thing of today. So as we wrap up, I kind of want to get that from you guys in terms of like how you guys walk away from this game overall, what kind of a feeling you walk away with. Because like I said, even when it was 1-1, I just could not put my finger on, man, we got to do this better or something like that. But at the same time, even as like someone like me who worries as a lifestyle, I just had this feeling that, you know, kind of like Serzi says, it's almost like we are waiting a little bit. We're throwing a lot of body punches at teams. And then in the second gear, things start to click. I don't know if it's our conditioning. I don't know if it's our depth. But it feels like we're so much more effective and really get a control of the game in the second half, as opposed to, I mean, we're always going to worry, right, when the lead is just one. But I just felt like somehow I had a calm in me even when the game was 1-1, thinking, we're going to make that run. It's like an NBA game on where like your team is down. They're like, there's a run coming. And then you get like, you kind of like waiting for that run. It just had like a weird feeling that I was like, it's going to come. We just got to keep playing.
Yeah. And I just to touch back to the Mo point earlier, the reason why I said Nunez, if you guys remember in preseason, will score more goals is because I said Salah will turn into a provider because he now has somebody to pass the ball to. And I said now we've got midfielders who can assist the ball, just like we saw McAllister do today, that will help Nunez score. Not because Nunez is better than Salah. I mean, I want to make that very clear because I just thought about that. Like, do people think I think Nunez is better than Salah? Because that guy's like literally the greatest we've ever seen, at least in our lifetime.
After Szoboszlai,
After Szoboszlai, Thiago, and Nunez, but yeah. So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys remember last season. It was a statistic that whenever we are losing at the half, we don't win the game.
Yeah.
Every game last season, we weren't leading at the half. we lost or tied, didn't win this season. And it's, it's halftime and we're losing. We're like, that's good, because, we're going to score 3 in the second. So, I mean, this is a whole shift of culture in the club. So I was looking today, and you're right. It's 1-1. I'm like, what do you do in the second half? What changes do you make? In my head, I'm like, well, fucking, if Nunes scores, we would be okay. But, like, what changes do you make to go out there and do something different? And I'm like, there's nothing. They're going to click in the second half, just like they did on Thursday and last Saturday and the Saturday before. So we're okay. We are in a complete culture shift. We're in a complete mentality shift. And guys, we deserve it, man. Last year was not okay. Started balding in the back of my head. That's not okay. So here we are. It's only going to get better.
Years of Liverpool and Fenerbahce, I got there a lot faster than you did. Sergey, what are your kind of final thoughts, man? Like, how did you leave this game, or how did you feel throughout the game?
Yeah, I wasn't nervous. At first, I was worried about Bowen and Paqueta, and Paqueta had a good game.
Yeah.
Obviously, Bowen scored, but generally we kept them quiet. We dealt with the set pieces pretty well. I was worried about Ward-Prowse. I think this new season, Spurs will be a big acid test. I thought Villa would be a test, and they weren't. I think if we can take care of Spurs, I think that'll pretty much dictate how we're going to go for the rest of the season. Klopp looks rejuvenated, and I think he'll sign another contract. The way things are going, it's just like a brand new team, brand new club. We got rid of Hendo, we got rid of Fabinho, Milner, and it's just like brand new environment, brand new mentality. Yeah, it's looking good.
That's a good point, actually. It does look like, I mean, it's not that much different. It is very different in a kind of like a weird kind of way. But Kazi, what do you say as final thoughts? Does this game change how you feel against the Spurs game, for example, in positive or negative way, or same as before?
Same as before, really. I think we all think that the Spurs game is a tough one, but I thought Villa would be a tough one. I thought Newcastle would be a tough one. I keep thinking these games are going to be tough, and they never are. Really, the Newcastle one wouldn't have been tough. Really, if we just stayed in the pitch with 10 men, we would have won the game. So, I'm looking at it in the bigger picture. The teams who finished in the top 4 last year, including Newcastle and United, are like 6 points behind us already, 7 points behind us already. That's 3 games. You forget that you're actually, I know we're only 6 games into the season, but there's already a bit of a gap building already with the top 5, who you expect to be in the top 5 kind of thing, top 6. So, but going back to the Spurs game, I feel like, and today, they won't fancy us. They don't want to play us. We might not want to play them. We don't want to play them. They're sitting there, don't want to play us. Pedro Porro's sitting there going, if there's Diaz on the left or Darwin on the left, I don't fancy that. So let's put the fear of God into them. Why not? Liverpool are unbeaten in 17 games now, I think, all comps, or 18 games, all comps. You know what I mean? And that's going to be, I really do believe that Liverpool will win the league. I still fully believe that. But you've got to go to Spurs and win. And you've got to go there and go to City, we mean business. We really do mean business. And the way they play, are going to play right into our hands. Great result today, much needed. Yep. After the last game. We all expect probably West Ham to be in the top 8, top 9 this season. And they had 1 chance at goal, maybe 2 with the header, actually, that Alisson makes a great save from. And that's about it. So let's kick on, why not? Let's keep riding this train and let's see what we can do.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a game that if you take the game to them, I agree that, the Spurs, how they play, kind of helps us. That game could be 4-3 or something like that, though, because both teams like countering and both teams struggle against countering. The way they play, I think the way they set up is kind of like that game. But at least we got the 3 points. The rest of a nice weekend over here to wrap things up. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. Thanks to all those following, listening, commenting. Do not forget that this is about to end in a week. If you're watching us on Facebook today, head on over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button there. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the Polish Prince, and then we'll talk more about this, I am sure, as we look towards the League Cup game. The games are coming thick and fast. I kind of like this time of year mainly because of that. Thanks a lot again, gentlemen. Thanks to everybody joining.